Hey folks, sorry I'm late. Not able to log into my Zoom thing for where you can do live streams. Not sure what that's about. I wonder if I can do. That's not good. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Let me try a live. If I go live here, so I'm gonna try. Hey Nancy, I haven't done a live stream via Google, YouTube for a while. So I'm not sure how this on my computer. So I'm on my phone right now. It's kind of weird, man. Hold on just a second. I'm gonna try something. Hey, I'll be back. Nah, it wasn't. I don't know what's going on. It's not letting me get it via the normal way I do it through Zoom. So I'm not sure what that's about. So let me see if I can't do it. All right, I'm gonna try some. YouTube just changed. Hold on a second. I'm gonna put this. All right. So hang in there. I'm gonna hang. Let me just try this here. Let's just do this. I'm gonna try it over here real quick. See what happens when we do it here. All right. No, it's not made for kids. Because I want to get from my computer. Hey, Chinese servers have shut me down. Exactly. Yeah. I tell you what. So I'm gonna hang up here. And well, actually, wait, I don't know if I can do it while we're doing here. Hold on, see, I don't. It's the software's jacked up here. All right, so I'm gonna have to. That's kind of weird. I'm not sure what's going on. So YouTube changed their stuff a couple years ago. Hey, Brett. And they had a great live streams function. It was fantastic, and they changed it. And I don't know what they're using Google Commie virus, right, Hans? They're using something Google Meet or something like that. And it's so I'm looking forward to using it. But right now I'm using Zoom. And Zoom works. I like the YouTube better for sure. You have a problem in California, Craig? Is that what you're saying? And so I don't know what's going on with the why Google with all the money they couldn't get a good live stream thing. That is weird to me. I'm not sure how other people use live streams, but it's frustrating because you're like, man, what kind of problem you have in California with your? Well, that's interesting, Craig. So I don't know what's going on. It's odd to me. So let me just bear with it. So this isn't working here. So that's interesting. So something has gone awry with a setup here, which is too bad. But we'll like I said, I'm on my phone now. Yeah, I see it here. All right, so I can see it on my phone over here. So all right, we'll rock and roll. California with plenty of problems. Yeah, that's right, Tom. It's frustrating because I was hoping to be able to use. I was hoping to be able to do some screen shares. That kind of stinks. All right, so let's. I guess we'll get out of this. Everything looks good there. I wonder if I did a webinar. Oh man. Okay, I might have to think about that next time because Zoom, you do a webinar. No, because then I have to go through. You have to have the. I don't know how it works for a Zoom webinar. Say, Scott. Yeah, I don't know how it works on a webinar. It said, because when you have Zoom, you can do a meeting, which is what I normally do, and then you can do a webinar, and you can do both live on YouTube. Yeah, all right, well, I guess we'll just go through this. That's too bad. I'm not sure what's going on there. I see, it's funny, with my phone, I'm looking over here, I can see the computer, and I see how it looks from the perspective, because I have my phone just staring right at me. It's kind of creepy, actually. All right, so I wonder if I could. My man Steve, if he's out there, he had sent me something. I wish I would have had that. It's actually a thing. It's almost like a tripod of some sort. Oh, maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll set the tripod. Hey, bear with me just a second, my friends. Yes, there we go. I won't be able to screen share, but I'll set up a tripod. Oh, there you go. There we go. Man, I am thinking today. All right, so hold on just a second. We're gonna get the old tripod here. All right, so I'm gonna, yikes. All right, got all my, so I'm gonna put the phone like this for a second, and you all can see Let's see if Pablo shows up. Hold on. Yeah, look at that. That's high speed. Up there, you can see my ceiling there. Hey, everybody. Let's get the tripod up. Probably should have done this to begin with. I'd never had a problem logging in through Zoom before, though, so I'm not sure why I hadn't even would have thought to get the tripod up, but we will do it. We will adapt and overcome, as we would say in the Army. So bear with me just a second. There we go. All right. And we'll get that tripod set up. There we go. All right. Looking good. Hello, Pablo. All right. High tech, man. I'm telling you, you don't get much more high tech than what you're seeing here. That's for sure. All right. There we go. Looking good. All right. Sweet. Now that will, let me get my, all right, cool. Let me get my thing plugged in here. All right. Hold on. One thing about this, I can't share my screen. What's going on, Mark? How things going, brother? Hello, Scott. Haven't seen you before. Maybe I missed you, but welcome aboard, my friend. All right. All right. Again. All right, so I'm hoping y'all can hear me. Hey, Daniel, I got your email from earlier. All right. Let me just put this right here. Hey, look at that. Adapt and overcome, my friends. Okay, cool. Sounds good. Okay, cool. Right on. All right, sweet. All right, good. That's fantastic. All right, so it's not what I was hoping, but it'll get the job done. Hold on just a second, my friends. All right. So the first thing I want to share with you is, all right, that looks pretty good. This right here. What is this right here, you might be asking? What is that? That is a cutting from my arrow garden, and look at that root system. So literally, I just took a cutting, a leaf. This wasn't even a sucker. This was just a branch that was under. When you're pruning your branches, the stuff that's underneath the main leaves, you want to prune out from under that because they're taking energy and they're not getting enough sun, or in my case, LED lights in which to grow your plants. So anything that's kind of under or kind of going the wrong way, like back towards the main stem, you really want to prune those things. But you don't want to just throw them away, because what you can do, these are living, breathing creatures, is you cut the thing off, and you just put it in some water, and look at that root system, man. It's just grown like a freaking crazy, man. So I'm going to plug this in the ground tomorrow, and this will be a tomato plant. So right now, I got 3 pretty high producing tomato plants out there. I got some cucumbers coming up. What else I got? Some peppers and whatnot. But the problem with those tomato plants is once they're done, they're done. I think they're determinate is what they're called. Determinate plants, where they just grow one time. I can't remember. But anyway, once they're done, they're done. And so nothing like a jerk, man. Ain't that the truth, Mark? Oh, I used to have a huge garden in New Jersey. And so what now this will do is that this will give me a whole bunch of new tomatoes, probably 3 months from now, which will be June, July, August. So towards the end of August and such, going into fall. Anyway, who knew? So there's a channel, what's it? Nick Ferguson, I think's his name. And he has a propagating plants course on Teachable, where you can get my course. Nick Ferguson, a propagating plants course on there. And it's pretty, so he's doing grafting, he's doing propagating is literally, it's just cutting a branch and sticking in the ground. It's the tinge of dioxin in the northeast water that gives our veggie that unique flavor. Dioxin. I'm not sure what that is. In Haddonfield, where I live, there's no chlorine in the water, or not fluoride in the water, FYI. Isn't that interesting? No fluoride. But anyway, so it's the whole point about that was just if you practice some of this stuff and learn, because it's going to take time, you'll get better at it. And every year I get better at this. I'm not good at all, trust me. By any stretch of the imagination, I'm not good. But I'm starting to get better at regrowing plants from cuttings. And when we were down in Florida, this guy had pomegranate trees and he had orange trees. And I took some cuttings off them, and I've rooted. I haven't rooted them, but I've put them in some water to get them moist, and I've just stuck them in the ground now. And we'll see if those things sprout any kind of roots. And if they do, we'll plant those outside too. Now, oranges where I'm at are kind of on the dicey situation. Peach trees, kind of. If you got if you got some cold, it's gonna be tough to grow citrus up here. It can be done, but it's gonna be tough. But I'm gonna try anyway, just because I think it's pretty cool. And then you obviously blueberries grow like crazy here because of the acidic soil. So I'll be cutting some blueberries. Roberto, there is nothing better than freaking strawberries. Georgia peaches, no, Jill. I mean, if you're down in the south part of Georgia, the more the warmer parts, yeah. But in the north is kind of the more mountain area, and it gets too cold in the winter. We're in zone 7B. And I think down there they're in 8A, and so they don't get quite the frost that we do. Now, obviously, Florida gets some frost, and they got citrus, so. I didn't move to Florida. I was just down there for a week, man. I'm not moving to Florida. No way, no how. It's just, look, I love being on the beach. It's freaking awesome. I loved it. I love the water. Absolutely. It's just too hot. I couldn't take it. Rob, I can't. Huckleberries, yes. Yeah. Where are you from, man? That's right. Maine guy grows huckleberries. I got some, but I got mulberries out there. I don't have any huckleberries, PA. So for me, Florida, hey, DJ Buckeye. It was too hot down there. Sitting on the beach for about 2 hours, and even though you put sunscreen on that, man, I was telling my wife I gotta get out. We almost lost freaking Pablo. Come here, everybody. This guy right here, we almost lost this guy because they're. Oh yeah. So we had him on the beach. Remember that? You remember what you did? And fresh growing strawberries. I tell you, that's how you know there's a God, because those fresh growing strawberries and blueberries. I've been picking some blueberries off. Anyway, so this guy, we're all brushing our feet off, hosing down our feet from the sun, from the sand. I mean, and I had him on a leash, and I said to somebody, "Hey, grab the leash so I can." I forgot. I don't even think I made it that clear. I said, "Hey, grab Pablo. I'm gonna wash off my feet." And I dropped the leash thinking someone had it. And there's across the street, someone was eating something, and Pablo took off like a bat out of hell, even though he had his leash on and everything. And only but for the grace of God did he not get hit by a car. Remember that? Yeah? Look, he knows he's guilty as sin. I'm telling you. And man, and I saw him, I was like, no! And yeah, and he just went flying because he's got the smell of food. He can smell food a mile away. And so this guy who's coming on this going from left to right, this guy just kept on going. I was like, dude, come on. And then Pablo, the other guy who's coming from right to left, stopped, thank God, because if that other guy would have hit him if he didn't stop. Oh, my goodness. We had to come back with that old Pablo. Would have been miserable. So he was a bad boy. But we cannot help. You want to see something funny? Every time we get to the water, and every time I took him next to the water, he'd start going like this, doing doggy paddle. Even though he didn't like the water, he just is. I'll put a video that Maddie took on YouTube. It is the funniest thing in the world. His arms would naturally just start doing this doggy paddle thing. It was so funny. They were like just laughing. And then I put him down close to the water, and his arms would start going faster and faster and faster. By the power of Grayskull, I have the power. Whee! How can you not love that dog? All right, so that was a good time. So anyway, we're back from there for sure. Does Pablo eat dry food or soft food? Basically, he eats everything but onions, Roberto. He'll literally eat everything. They say about Chihuahuas that they will eat until their belly is just kaboom. You know what I'm saying? Like, they will eat and eat and eat and act like they're starving. Pablo thinks he's starving Marvin, and he's not. He just eats and eats. Jimmy K. Paso, rat terrier. Someone that said something about that. We think he's a Chihuahua, half Chihuahua, half Dachshund, something like that. Did you all see the video I just recently did earlier today about having the index, that if you didn't have the index, if you didn't have these 6 stocks, you would have only got 12% return, like in total, from 2015 till now. I can't stress enough that stuff. That's amazing. It's amazing. If you did not have these 6 stocks, the FANGs and Microsoft. I'm not sure why Microsoft's a big winner here either, but I just sit there and I'm in awe about how the index is so. You take these 6 stocks out, in the last 5 years, you got 12% rate of return. That's it. Not annually, just 12%. It's crazy. And I tell you, Craig, Apple, but I mean, Microsoft, where'd that come from? It's weird. And what happens? See, that's the thing, Jill. What happens if they go down? I don't know. So let's take a gander. And this is what I was hoping to show you some of my screen here on this, but I can't. I just want to look at. Let's go to Market Watch, and I want to look on what Apple's doing. I mean Microsoft, excuse me, because I don't know why Microsoft all of a sudden out of nowhere is in there. Now the interesting thing, I tell you, this is where I think a lot of people might be missing it, in that hold on a second. So Microsoft has a PE of 31. They got 51-cent dividend. That's 51 cents dividend, not a 5.1 yield. It's a 51-cent dividend with a 1.09 yield. So that's got to be a factor to growth stock. I don't know how else it could be. A low dividend, high PE. I didn't see that. I'll get some questions here in just a second. About 10 minutes. All right, so that's Microsoft. That's a growth stock. All right, so now let's look at Apple. Oh, APL. So Microsoft, 31 PE with a 1% dividend yield. And again, the price to earnings ratio is based on the quarter of earnings. I'd have to assume that'd be first quarter. Oh, by the way, did you see the numbers came out today? If you go to macro or tradingeconomics.com, it's probably one of my stop shops, which I need to go to every day. Tradingeconomics.com said the productivity wasn't nearly, for employee labor productivity did not drop nearly what they thought. Yeah, it'd be nice to pick the right stocks, but how do you do that? I don't know. And everyone says, I'll use the Benjamin Graham model. Well, everyone says that. Everyone says Benjamin Graham. I mean, what? It's so crazy. Like, I just follow the Benjamin Graham model. Well, everybody else does that too, in theory. All right, so here's Apple. PE 26. They got dividend yield of 1, so that's a growth stock too. And I have no idea what their debt is. I don't think that much debt. I think they do got a ton of cash. Is it beat the Bush? Is he still? He thinks he's going to pick stocks? I thought he was completely out of the market, Joe. I can't. That guy was so it's weird to me. I like that guy, Francis. Why are you so worried about the coronavirus? It's not going to kill you, man. I just don't get it. It's the weirdest thing. Like, now they're saying we got these spikes in coronavirus. In Texas, you have 2,000 people in the state of Texas who are in the hospital because of coronavirus. Look, it's just not that big of a deal. And they're all certain kinds of people. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Like, we have a spike in coronavirus for now. We used to have 1,800 people. Now we have 2,000 people in the hospital because of coronavirus. 2,000 in the entire state of Texas. It's the weirdest thing ever. All right, so let's look at, we looked at Microsoft. We looked at, I don't even know what Facebook ticker is. You all know what Facebook ticker is? I don't even know what the ticker is. Anyone know Facebook ticker? FB, okay, cool. FB? That sounds like it's traded on New York Stock Exchange. Is Facebook traded on the New York Stock Exchange? I would have thought Facebook would be traded on, Apple is actually AAPL. Facebook, I would have thought would have been traded on NASDAQ. That's interesting. It's traded on the New York Stock Exchange. And I don't know if it's still like this. In the old days, if you had 4 tickers or 4 letters in your ticker, that meant you were traded on NASDAQ. If you had 3 or less, that meant you were traded on the New York Stock Exchange. I don't know if that's still the case. I don't know. So Facebook, a PE ratio of 31, no dividend. So another high stock, growth stock for sure. Facebook's on NASDAQ with the FB ticker? Yeah, there you go. NASDAQ. All right, so they definitely, that's not the way it used to be. It used to be like AT&T, KO, all those stocks were, the blue chips are all traded on New York Stock Exchange. Facebook being, the FB is on NASDAQ. That's weird to me. So we have Facebook, Apple, then Google. Let's look at Google. All right, so let's see here. PE ratio high 20, 28 with no yield. All right, so there's 4. And we know 4 of those 6. We had Facebook, Apple, Amazon. We know Amazon's would be through the roof. AMZN. So if you didn't own these 6 stocks, you made no money, none. And Amazon, no dividend yield, PE ratio of 121. So, I mean, I go to my grave saying I don't see how this continues on. Netflix, that's right. What's Netflix's ticker? I don't know. Did you know, Craig? Let's see. So Netflix. Netflix. Yeah, I don't know what Netflix. Anyone know what Netflix ticker is? NFLX. Okay, cool. Thanks. All right, so let's look at Netflix. There you go. Yeah, so Netflix, 84 PE ratio, no dividend. So of these 6, you're getting no yield to speak of. You're paying through the roof for price-to-earnings ratios, and I look, and then you got the government gonna think about regulating these things. I'm not saying don't buy. Look, I'm not saying who knows. I'm just saying buy the index and be done with it. Can you make money on other stocks? Sure, you got to be trading them. And I look, people could do that. I'm not doing it. No way, no how. Trading it is kind of like gamblers going to betting on the NCAA. You might be right. You might be wrong. Either way, if you're buying a stock and you're trading it thinking you can make a quid. I'm not saying you, my man. I'm just saying people think they have the magic sauce. If you have to buy them cheap enough and you have to be able to hold. Hey, Mary. Hey. So I'm telling you, Mary Hampton is our realtor up in Connecticut. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. I was doing I did a post yesterday where this guy had posted in Minneapolis about real estate prices. 18.6% of all houses available on the market came in the last 7 days in Minneapolis. You know the same thing's coming. So whoever's in the suburbs of Minneapolis, I bet those prices go up. And whoever's in downtown, man, I guarantee those suckers are going down. I don't know that for a fact. But anyway, I wonder if the same thing's going to happen in Connecticut because of New York. Yeah, right? Still crazy here. So we shall see. But keep your eyes and ears peeled on old Minneapolis. I did a quick realtor or a Zoom thing yesterday just to see what the prices were. It's just way too early. A lot of prices, closed of the last week. I'm sure we're under contract for the last, 30, 45 days. And I'm sure some of those people are sweating bricks now. They're like, I'm going into these places with the crappy schools because there are a lot of crappy schools in Minneapolis. And I'm going into these places now with all this other crap with no cops. I guarantee, the truckers might not go into the funded police areas. So if you're going into one of these places, man, it's going to be the wild, wild west. And I tell you, that's not a place I'd want to spend a freaking $500,000 or home. That's for sure. It'll be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. And here's the thing, with stupid, whatever this thing is in Antifa, little commie village in, what's that called? Chaz up in Seattle. And people like, Trump needs to go in there. No, he doesn't. Let these fools deal. Let them lay in their bed. They've been wanting this. I got no question. It sucks if you're an innocent bystander, but I hate to say it, it's not like you have been warned for years about the insanity of Portland and Seattle and San Francisco. It's not, just freaking, you're on your own, man. There's no other way around that. And you can't own firearms. Jeez Louise. Crazy. So, okay. So we'll see what happens with real estate prices in these big places. I'll be pleasantly surprised if won't be pleasantly surprised. I'll be surprised if we don't see a nice little bump in suburban real estate, which is where I'm in too. I think Atlanta's nuts. Look, if you lose my wife on this, you don't get. So that will happen to that guy. Look, there's a simple solution not to get killed by cops, and that's to not resist and fire a taser at one. Now, you can easily say they shot him in the back. If you see the video, they did. Literally, they shot him in the back, but it was tic-tac-toe. I mean, this is nuts. And if that's going to be your martyr, I don't know what happened. I mean, what happened to Jackie Robinson being martyrs, and now we're using these guys. It's nuts. And that guy beat up 2 cops, took their taser, and shot one while he's running. And no cop had any idea if he had another firearm. Look, man, the idea we're going to rally for this guy. And I'm sitting there thinking, like the lady I posted today who got shot by her thug neighbor, apparently who was accosting these people for years. I'm sure he's trying to get with the lady, Kyra Womack. And I'm sure she said no. And I think he probably got pissed off and was going after her son. To make a point. It's just weird. We don't no. Very few people know about her, but all kinds of people know about George Floyd's of the world. It's wrong. It's wrong. I'm sorry. That doesn't mean people shouldn't be upset about, cops, but it doesn't happen enough to justify making martyrs out of these people when you got real freaking heroes out there who get killed and no one gives two craps. And it's one of my most infuriating things in this current society is that the good people are being put down and no one gives two craps, but the freaking bad people get martyred. And especially when we see, for instance, that this guy went after the cops, beat him up and ran, and we're all going to burn down a freaking Wendy's. Now, screw that, man. I'm sick of that crap. Anyway, so back to financial planning. All right. Pablo is saying back to financial planning. I want to go a little bit. See, this is where I can't. Oh, man, I wish I could screen share. All right, so JP Morgan, and I've been meaning to talk about this for a long time. Yeah, now all those Wendy's workers are out of work. Isn't that great? Yeah, we're really helping the community there. Just more reason to see the suburbs increasing in value for sure. You freaking idiots. I'm so sick of this crap. And it's, all right. All right, so I want to share with you JP. I wonder if I can do this a little bit. Let's see. Hold on just a second. I'm going to, common sense has disappeared when it comes to the left, man. No such thing as common sense, that's for sure. All right, so let me see if I can't, hold on just a second. I want to see if I can't, all right, looks like y'all can see that a little bit. All right, this is real freaking high-speed stuff here. All right, so I want to show you something. This is pretty interesting. Right here, this can be tough to see. I don't know if I can do this here. This might work the way I want to. I was hoping to show you this right here. It's gonna be what. I'm just going to explain. So what we have is forward PE ratios and subsequent one-year returns and forward PE ratios and subsequent 5-year returns. And this is going to be tough. But basically, here we are in March of 2020, and you see that the PE ratios are basically average historically relative to price to earnings ratio. So in March, this is March 31st, and we're off the bottom, but not by much. I mean, we still had a pretty significant decline. And because of that, our PE ratios at that point were pretty much in, okay, cool. Yeah, right on. It's not quite what I was hoping to show you, Doug, but basically the PE ratios at the end of March were basically on average, if that makes sense. Now, the interesting thing is, and this is why Vanguard changed, which I still don't like that they did this, but they changed their forward projections for returns because now that the price to earnings ratios were so low relative to what they just were, back on the beginning of the year, they said, well, now there's more of an upside, and what they're trying to do is save face when their numbers are way underwhelmed. I hope that makes sense. And so basically what we're saying is, on March 31st, we had a PE ratio, a forward PE ratio. Now, forward means they're looking at not the trailing 12 months, but they're looking at what the analysts think will be the future earnings, right? And their future earnings relative to for prices. Have you used ad blocker pro? You want to see any of that crap? They're using future earnings. Now, that's just estimates on analysts, all right? And they're saying if the future earnings are correct, according to our analysts is 15.4 PE, which is smack dab what the average price to earnings ratio is for the S&P 500 going back to the 1800s. The average PE ratio is about 15.5. And so the average PE ratio in March, after a pretty significant decline, I get you that, is 15.4, the forward-looking PE, if that makes sense. And so the point was, if you look at history returns, if you have a lower PE, you have higher returns. Now, the problem, this is why I don't like the freaking growth stocks. The growth stocks price to earnings ratios, the PEs. Look, I sound like a broken record. I sound like I'm trying to convince you. I don't care what you do. I don't care. I'm not trying to tell you to buy value stocks. That's all I have. I have hardly any growth anymore. I'm just saying, if you look at it, but I've also been in this business long enough to know that people, they follow, and I'm not saying you guys do, they follow the trends. They say, hey, this is done well, I'm going to buy that. That's done poorly, I'm going to avoid that. And that's just wrong. You cannot do that in your investments. You have to buy, I'm not saying you buy the thing that's the cheapest, but you cannot, if for anything, just spread your investments across the index and be done with it. But don't go to growth stocks solely. You are going to be sorely taken for a long ride. You're not going to make any money in the next 10 years. I could completely be wrong. I don't know. History tells us for any investment, the lower the price relative to the value you get for the price, the more you're going to get in the upside later on when things return. And they're going to at some point. People are going to say, I'm not paying $81 for $1 of earnings for Netflix. It's just not going to happen. Now, this is what happened in Japan. There's so many instances of that. Yikes, you saw a Biden ad on my thing? A Biden ad. Oh, my. Oh. Well, hey, maybe my YouTube revenue will start picking back up because it's been weak lately. Oh, man, that is funny. You know where Biden's getting his money from, don't you? Did y'all see the video I did on that, how to beat the left? If you go to Black Lives Matter website and you click on donate, ActBlue is a proprietor, the people who get it. ActBlue is the people who get the money when you donate to Black Lives Matter. Who does ActBlue fund? Joe Biden, to the tune of $120 million so far. So ActBlue is on the Black Lives Matter website. When you hit donate, I'm sure some money is going to Black Lives Matter. I guarantee a whole lot more is going to Biden. And so when you donate to Black Lives Matter, you're essentially donating to Joe Biden. Because they're going to smash the state, those guys. They're so anti, the typical government. They're going to smash the state while they're donating to Joe Biden. Yeah, it's all fake. All fake. It's crazy. It's some guy was saying today, how can you fall for, the false dichotomy of the left versus right? I say, because the left wants to put me on my knees. At least the right, at least they talk like they don't. But I mean, so I was like sitting there thinking, man, Joe Biden, come on. Do you really think Joe Biden is going to give two craps about Black Lives Matter once he's president? No, we know that. Anyway, so going back. I'm not saying you go value. I am saying, though, at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of people who say, I need to buy the growth stuff because growth is what has made money over the last 5 years, which they're true. But I'm telling you, man, I will say this till I'm blue in the face. If you look at the late 90s, as I was at Vanguard, the Vanguard U.S. Growth Fund, everybody and their mom wanted Vanguard U.S. Growth Fund. And nobody wanted Vanguard Windsor Fund because Windsor Fund was basically large cap value. And large cap value wasn't doing badly, just wasn't giving you these huge returns of Vanguard growth, U.S. growth. Fast forward till 2002, U.S. growth got killed. Whereas we know what happened to value stocks. They did quite well in the aughts. So anyway, keep that in mind. All right, so I want to point that out. All right, let's keep going. And I'm going to show you this. It's going to be tough to see. They show you their sources of earnings, their sources of appreciation, dividends versus capital appreciation. And everyone has a version of this. How come I say Biden? Pablo growls. Pablo, Joe Biden. Joe Biden. Hey, high command just returned. Gotta say good night, man. John, what are you, private Joe Snuffy? Anyway, and so I want to point out part two of this. If you look at charts like this, isn't going to be it's going to be tough to see this. You'll see history, decade over decade, the money that you make versus capital appreciation versus dividends. Historically, dividends have accounted for about 40% of the growth of the market. All right, so dividends, if you got 10% rate of return, 4% was dividends, 6% was capital appreciation. The higher the price to earnings ratio, all right, the lower the future appreciation is going to be because you've already paying such a high amount of money for every dollar of earnings. The more you're going to be relying on dividends. All right, so if we go back to the 6 stocks we just talked about, none had a dividend yield over 1%. None did. They all had PE ratios well higher than 30 on average. So if you look at earnings relative to a capital appreciation, you're going to have less capital appreciation because the prices are already high. And then they also don't pay a dividend relative to what a value stock does too. So I completely agree, Craig. Just buy the total stock index and be done with it. But I'm telling you, a lot of people don't. They want to get fancy schmancy Nancy, and I just think it's a mistake. And so don't do that because I've been doing this for a long time. I've talked to thousands of people, and I cannot tell you how many people say they look at their 401k accounts. So let's just use that for an example. That one's done well, that has done poorly. I'm buying that one's done well. And they think because it has done well, it will continue to do so, or they think they'll get the returns that they got over the last 5 to 10 years going forward too. So let's keep going down here. I want to show you something else. Oh, this right here is, this is going to be tough to show you here, especially with Pablo. That right is, geez Louise. Let me go over here. See this on the left, the value versus growth. And what we'll see is value is way underneath growth in terms of performance over the last, basically, you're going back to 2000 and basically 2015. The value has well underperformed. Again, those because those 6 big stocks. So that's my argument for value stocks. Again, I don't even care if you buy value specifically. I just say don't put all your eggs in the growth basket. I think that could be problematic. Secondly, I do want to talk about small cap value. It's tough to go wrong there, but just be advised. A lot of people, they look at small cap value and they say small cap value has the best performing going back to basically the modern era of stock investing, 1926. And that's true. And I haven't seen in the last couple of years if this still has maintained itself. I imagine it probably has. The problem with small cap value, though, if you take away this basically 6-year time frame from like 77 to 83, small cap value is in line with everything else that's out there. So small cap value had a couple years in there they just took off and just killed, kick butt and take names. Other than those 6 years, it's pretty much aligned with everything else. I think value with dividend stocks, without question, the way to go. Absolutely. And I think a lot of people would be remiss if they didn't have a diversified portfolio in that regard. The question that comes to mind for me specifically, and I'll just share with you, is it worth to have international? And as someone who's always a contrarian and value conscious, international has been knocked around and hasn't done much. I can't get myself to pull the trigger on international stocks. I don't trust these guys, man. I just don't trust them. And because of that, I just not buying international stocks right now. It's actually interesting to see one of my accounts at the highs at 127, one of my IRAs, it dropped down to 82 or 79 or 82 during the chaos. And then it has now, I think is at 110 now or something like that. So it's interesting to see that the 127 down to 82, I can't remember, up to 107. But even though it's back above where we were, it's back above, the S&P 500 is pretty close to where we were. I'm still, $17,000, $20,000 below what I was at one point. So that's, I'm still down 15%, even though the S&P 500 isn't down 15% relative to where we were. And that just goes to show you that the losses hurt more than the gains give you back. So if you're down, if you're up 50%, if you're down 50% and you're up 50%, you're not even Steven. You need to be up 100% to break even to being down 50. Hope that makes sense. See if you think about it. You have 100, it drops to 50. You're down 50%. For that to get back to 100 from 50, you need a 100% rate of return. All right, so you have 100, a 50% decline, you're down to 50. You need 100% to get back to where you were. All right, so Let's just see here real quick. We'll get some questions here in a little bit. I wanted to kind of, geez. Another thing I want to point out, because what's going to probably happen. Oh, yeah, that's right, Jeff, you're at the beach, man. It was thunderstorming here, too, which maybe that's part of the reason I had such an issue with getting on, logging into YouTube. If you look, going back to 1980, we've had many a year where the markets were down even on any given year. So like for instance, in 2010, the market from top to bottom was down 16%. So the market had, it was down at 1.16% in 2010, even though the year itself was up 13%. In 2000 and let's see, what's that, 12 or 13? I can't tell. But in 2011, the market broke even, but it's down 19% from top to bottom at one point. And what's going to happen this year is I don't think the market will end up down, 35% or something like that. But a lot of people are going to forget. They're going to look historically and forget how violent the decline was. The most violent decline we've ever seen on record in terms of other than like the 1987 and that one day, but we've never seen such violence. It's crazy, and it's come back, which actually I think is, you'd rather have it short and quick than long, that's for sure. But anyway, it was brutal, and a lot of people are going to look back in hindsight and forget how bad it was this last time around. So if you're able to, if you're able to survive, kudos to you for sure. I was talking to someone not that long ago, and I said, when are you getting back in? Or she just started getting back in. And I said, oh, man, you missed a lot of the upside. I said, that's why I think I did a video on that. I said, man, if you're going to invest, you just got to stay in there. Like one of y'all just pointed out, you got to be in there for the long term. All right, so so a lot of this stuff is not going to be good for me to share with you here just because you can't see it. One of the things that a lot of the big wigs are talking about is income inequality. They've kind of put to the side some of the talks on right now on global climate stuff, which is good. But they're still out there chomping at the bit to get a global carbon tax enacted with trading markets and whatnot. And if Biden gets in, I'm sure we'll see a carbon tax for sure. Insane as that is, and I'm sure we'll see a market for carbon, which will maybe be dominated by the players, which you and I are not part of one. It's a big party, and we ain't in it. That's for sure. And that's gonna be a challenge because that's absolutely nuts. We don't need that. But if Biden does win, we're going to see a carbon tax, and we're going to see markets for trading for sure. The Republicans don't have the kahunas to stand up to this stuff. They just don't. I was disappointed in Senator Langford today from Oklahoma, Harry, who supported renaming Fort Benning, Fort Hood, and Fort Bragg. Like I said, the Republicans on the Senate Armed Service Committee, they all voted to do that. As a pander to the blacks, they think they're going to vote for. The blacks will start voting for Republicans if they pander, and it's insane. It's nuts. And the blacks will vote for you by being authentic, and pandering is never going to win for the Republican side. I just don't understand why they don't get this. They think they can pander to the climatistas by saying we don't want a full-fledged ban on carbon dioxide, but we'll be willing to go along with a trading thing or something like that. And the whole thing is just nuts. So don't put your faith on Republicans to stop this stuff. Republicans were the EPAs because of Richard Nixon. All right, that's fact. Republicans passed Medicare Part D. We can argue if that's. Hold on. Hey, Chloe. Hold on a second. Hey, Chloe. Can someone take Pablo? I'm hoping someone will take Pablo because where? Oh, go for a walk. Pablo, every time I say Joe Biden, he's like, let me at him, I'll splat him. Who knows that saying? Let me at him, I'll splat him. But anyway, don't rely on Republicans to keep your money safe because they are squishes for sure. Just the fact they can't see that renaming Fort Benning doesn't appease anybody. It just pisses people off. And the sad thing is it pisses their own side off. I didn't even know Fort Benning was named after a Confederate general. I did not know that. Now I do, and I just don't care. All right, it's no one cares. I'm just sorry, but I have a Fort Benning means something to me. That name has a meaning to me because I was there. The name has a meaning to people who went to these places, and to change those names to appease people who will never be appeased is just insanity. And all that's going to happen next is we see it now. They're already, never mind Christopher Columbus, for heaven's sake. Now they're going after, hell, they're going after freaking the 54th Regiment in Massachusetts, was like a black infantry regiment during the Civil War. I mean, basically anything that has any kind of historical context to benefit our country is on the chopping block. And so, anyway, it really infuriates me. I'm sitting there thinking, what are you going to name Fort Benning freaking Fort Obama? I mean, what the hell is this? Don't name it Fort Bush. Don't name it Fort Reagan. Don't name it anything. Just keep it what it is. Yeah, exactly. They're going to change the world. How dare you call yourself the South? It's nuts. And I just, this whole thing is insane. Do you hear what they're doing with Gandhi now? They hating on Gandhi. I just posted that on the community tab. Because Gandhi was racist. Gandhi was more than just racist, by the way. And other people who are out there are more than just, let's just put it this way. I don't want to say more. Gandhi, they're trying to get him banned from polite society because he was racist against blacks. And that's funny because the same people, freaking Colin Kaepernick could kiss my butt, going around there, Che Guevara, dude, Che Guevara, Black Lives Matter in one hand and Che Guevara in the other, those things are mutually exclusive. Che Guevara is a big racist, and if you're going after Gandhi, I mean, there's no one's safe in this day and age. No one is. It's insane. It's insane. And I just, at some point, you got to just say, someone's got to stand up and say no more. And unfortunately, if you're relying on Republicans, you're not gonna go far. At least my man out of Missouri, I was named Josh Hawley. I liked him. He did a good thing where he's standing up. But yeah, it's now NASCAR. It's freaking insane. Look, I don't fly a Confederate flag. I'm from Maine. It doesn't mean I can get how people are offended by that. But NASCAR banning Confederate flag as if it's not. You're not even appealing to blacks. You're trying to appeal to rich Northeast liberals is what you're trying to do, NASCAR. They don't care about auto racing. For heaven's sake, you're burning freaking fossil fuels. If you were truly caring about blacks, you would have got rid of the Confederate flag a long time ago. We know what you're doing. It's like people in Nashville. They don't care about anybody else. They care about the rich elitists on the coast. They don't care about freaking black people or white people. They care about the rich elitists so they can say, oh, look at us. We're just like you. Whatever that freaking girl's name is, Taylor Swift. We're part of the crew with, they don't care. If NASCAR cared about freaking offending blacks for the Confederate flag, they would have got rid of that a long time ago. It's not that. It's they want to appeal to the freaking media outlets. Everyone knows this. I was watching my man Young Ripa. You should follow him, actually. I'm a big fan of Young Rip out of Dallas. He's a black guy who actually is a lead singer for a metalish hardcore band, which I love, which is very libertarian. And he was saying just today, it's all virtue signaling, like my man just said. It's all virtue signaling. We all know this. And it's insanity. It's a sanity run amok. And anyway. All right, so what else we want to talk about here today? Seems like I have something else on my list here. I can't show that to you. That stinks, man. All right, I was hoping I could show you my a couple other charts there. That's not going to work. There's more of this J.P. Morgan thing that, hey, right on. Yeah, RMDs are now 72, not 70. Yes, sir. That should not change let's talk about that. So RMDs are now 72, not 70. Should that change your desire to take money out of an IRA until you're forced to? The answer is unequivocally no. You should take money out in advance because we want you to reduce the amount of money in your IRA as soon as possible, for sure. So don't wait till 72 to start pulling your money out. All right, let's see what kind of comments we got in here. Some kind of I know we had some questions. Oh, the NASCAR Dixie Vodka 500 today. Of course they're going to change that, Doug. It includes vodka and Dixie in there. Gone in 60 seconds. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not. Look, NFL kiss my butt. What's the name? J.J. Watt is now saying he's going to kneel too. He says it's nothing to do with the flag. Well, if it's nothing to do with the flag, why would you kneel during this national anthem? I mean, literally, if it wasn't to do with America and a slight on America, why is it done during the national anthem? All right, that doesn't make sense. Literally, it's all fake. So the NFL, I'm done with it. I thought I was coming back. No, now Tom Brady's with the Bucks. I just don't care. So you all can kiss my butt. That's all there is to it. I'm done with the NFL. NBA is long gone. NHL is even getting on this case too. Forget you all, man. Forget it. And the crazy thing is, there's so much. I don't see I don't want to get rid of the national anthem to appease these people, though. That's the issue. Frankly, I think it's silly to have the national anthem. It's so rote. And reading your Bible, you'll realize God doesn't want you to just go and recite by rote and repetition. He doesn't want that. And just to say, well, it's time for the national anthem. I agree, but I don't think that just getting rid of the national anthem is, not now, if that makes sense, because then you've appeased these people. All right, so Doug says, was thinking of refinance a HELOC and saw Powell says Fed's not even thinking about rate hikes. All right, so my man Dougie B. Fresh. 6 minutes, Dougie B. Fresh, and you're on. I think this is one of the things I was going to show you is a bit basically about Japan and the debt and how that's who did the video? Who did it? It was Gunlock, Gundlach, and I forgot Jeffrey Gunlock or Lack. He's comparing Japan having got all their debt is keeping growth down because their debt to GDP ratios are through the roof, and he says that has a big effect on growth rates. And because there's no growth, there's no interest rates, which would kill the whole MMT theory, by the way, modern monetary theory. MMT says a deficit in the government is a surplus in private spending, which should lead to growth. That's so basically the MMT theory goes along like this. It's a seesaw. One carries a debt, one carries a deficit, one carries a surplus. If the government carries a surplus, that means consumers are carrying debts and you're going to have less growth. I don't buy that for 2 seconds flat. I think it's silly in of itself. I don't want to dive too deep into that. But what I'm saying is, if this is true, Japan's had these huge amounts of debts for many years, which would say the population's had a surplus for many years, and thus there should be growth. Why is there no growth? Why? I mean, so all economic models are freaking full of crap, though. Whoever, Roy or Ray. All economic models. Because the MMT in some ways makes sense. I mean, my goodness, this is what Richard Koo was saying in Japan. Feed the freaking population with money so they can spend. They're not borrowing. They don't care about low interest rates or easy credit. They're not borrowing. They're just not. So you feed them with cash, that will create growth. Well, that hasn't happened either, right? Because Japan's got so much debt. MMT did not create growth. It did not create incredible wealth being distributed across the economy. It just did not. Kept interest rates low, kept unemployment low. That's a fact. Not wage growth is not booming, certainly. And on top of it, it's not like it's cheap to live in Japan. Maddie's getting ready to go to an internship there. And I'm telling you, my oldest, for 8 months. And we've been looking, it's just not a cheap place to live. Might be a beautiful place to live. I think John C., is he married to a Japanese lady or maybe a Philippine lady? I can't remember. But I think he's been to Japan quite a bit. A beautiful country, I presume. I've never been there, no desire to go. But at the end of the day, they have no growth. They have no interest rates growth at all. They have huge amounts of debt. And so if MMT were right, then how do you explain Japan? I mean, again, it all goes back to how do you explain these things? And you can't. There's no explanation for that at all. But what Gunlock was saying is the same thing is going to happen here. I don't know. But he's saying with the massive amounts of debt, because our debt to GDP ratio is now advancing, and that was before. I mean, now with coronavirus, hell, it's crazy. It's going to have an impact on long-term growth. If it does, that's going to keep inflation down. And if inflation is down, interest rates are going to be down. And going back to your whole thing that you asked there or made mention of, Doug, is that would you want to refinance and lock it in now? And I actually just took a home equity line of credit. It's interest only is what I'm going to pay. And, and I have an arm on my mortgage too. So I have a home equity line of credit. We got some stuff we want to get done around the house. And for interest only, I'm not paying I won't pay any principal. And I might at some point put that all together, take my first and second and redo them into one. But I have an arm, and I got to tell you that in my book that I do here, Strategic Money Planning, and whoever bought this, by the way, if any of y'all want a copy, a signed copy, I charge for that. I think I was charging $15, and a couple of y'all are on here. I signed a copy for you, and I hope you got them. I know one person, Indiana, did, but I hope y'all got that. I have a bunch of these sitting on my shelf. I'd be happy to sign one for you, but I do charge $15. You're paying for my autograph, essentially. So if you want a copy, let me know. I'll send you a PayPal thing, and I'll put it in the mail. But anyway, one of the things I talk about in my strategic money planning book is I wish I would have done adjustable rate mortgages, simply because I paid way too much in interest in the last, we've been owning houses since 1999, 98. And we just had a steady decline in interest rates. And because of that, we've been paying way more in interest than we should have if we would have, right on, Tim, than if we would have just done ARM. So I bought hook, line, and sinker, the ARM thing, that's for sure, adjustable rate mortgage. Mine I have through Penn Fed, and it's a 5.5. So that means because I don't have enough guts, kahunas, to do a every year ARM adjustable. When am I going to do another financial planning seminar for presumptive advisors? DJ Buckeye, who loves University of Michigan. Yeah, right on, Tim T. I don't care what they say. You're a good man. Is that what you're asking me? Like a financial planning seminar for advisors? Is that what you're saying? What was I saying? But I actually got 4 books, Tim T. So hey, man, my other ones you don't need to buy this. It's the state by state guide to taxes done in 2018. I actually did. Look, I like the book. It's well researched. It's just it was my best effort. I don't mean it. I did that like half-ass or anything. It just I wanted to get it done simply because. You think? That's like Buckeye. You get it? I wanted to get it done because 2018 was coming to a close. And it's a good book. Don't buy it, Tom. I'm just joking you. But now it's 2020. So the stuff from 2018 is probably all for naught anyway. Yeah, Wellington book. I'm telling you, Craig, I sit there. And my man Daniel, who's on here, has these spreadsheets. I just get freaking wrapped up about it. All right, yeah, Daniel is sending me spreadsheets, which I love, brother. Just every time I see one, I say, all right, let me dive into this. I'm like, oh. All right, so let's see what else we got here. We got my next financial planning seminar, big man. Yeah, maybe I'll do it in 2 weeks or so. Well, towards the end of June. That'd be fun. I enjoyed doing that immensely. I think the people who signed on got a lot out of it. I like that a lot. Have you seen our latest data release on economic freedom of North America from SMU, Ray? I haven't seen it. I have not seen it. Dow futures down because coronavirus fears again. Just these people. So now we can go back to worrying about coronavirus. All right, I have not seen economic thing, Ray. You should post or email it to me. I'll be happy to take a look and talk about that too. That's pretty cool. All right, so I saw your POC early. Yep, Gandhi. Yep, nothing. A Jersey tomato cannot argue that. Hold on, I'm just going through. All right, hold on a second. Scott moved 20% to cash right before the last dip. Nothing wrong with that. Pulverizer says Microsoft's cloud stuff has been hyped. All right, here we go. Lavery man, your Social Security calculation is the top 35 years' wages, regardless of you retire at 62. and wait until full retirement age. Is that correct? The answer is yes. And even if you work beyond 62, even though they don't adjust it for adjust average wage index, if those, what are you doing? Okay. Let me see if I can't. Hold a second. See if you guys can't see somebody. Oh, you missed him. He was just, hello. What are you doing there, big guy? Oh, he's got his bow tie on. Hi. What? Did you get potty? Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt your. Okay, it's okay. Let's go, Pablo. Okay. He's probably not happy. It's okay. You're a good boy. Pablo's got a bow tie on. Spoiled exactly, Roberto. Shh. Okay. Come here, Pablo. Pablo, it's okay. Pablo, come here, gorgeous. Come here. It's okay. Sorry about that, guys. The amazing Pablo, the guy who runs the roost. All right, let's see. All right, Gina says, should I open a Roth at Vanguard, Schwab, or Fidelity? No experience in any of this stuff. All right, come here, Bubs. What is going on? Oh, you want to get that? All right, let me. Okay. Yeah. See his little bow tie that Cully put on him. Tell me that's not the best thing ever. Is that the perfect thumbnail or what? How could someone not want to watch this video with him with his bow tie on? But I don't think he likes it. All right, here you go, buddy. Let me take that off you. Contrafund. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Contrafund is a Bill Danoff used to run Contrafund for many years. I don't know if he still does or not. Jill says she opened a Roth at Fidelity, Gina. After a bunch of research and finding out there was an office here, they would help you for free. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I imagine Schwab will do the same, Gina. That's the drawback about Vanguard. Vanguard, you're really on your own except for call center, and call centers can be a Turner and Hooch. Call centers, the problem with call centers is just you don't know who's on the other side of the phone. Trust me, I worked at Vanguard call center. Sometimes you get me, sometimes you get clown across the cube, sometimes you get someone who had a bad day, and sometimes you get me again who you didn't like. It's crazy. So it's, I agree. Fidelity or Schwab, I think would be my preference in that regard. And maybe because Jill had a good experience with Fidelity, go with them. Look, I know people work at all three of these places. They're all fine. All right. Let's see here. Hillsboro, Oregon, but he's already left. All right, hold on just a second. Mary says suburban real estate is on fire. All right. Yes. Tom says somewhere saying that guy, whatever his name was, got killed in Atlanta, let him run. But, and then if he freaking runs and he busts into someone's car, you don't know what's going to happen. But you don't even know if he's going to shoot you. The whole thing, you don't know. The whole thing is so easy to say, they should have done that. They should have done this. Freaking these freaking money morning quarterback people. How about this? How about don't resist arrest and fight the cops? You're alive if you don't resist arrest and fight the cops. Because by the way, you are drunk driving. It's okay now to drunk drive. I can drunk drive, fall asleep in a Wendy's parking lot, and when the cops want to arrest me, I can say no and run off and beat them, fire a freaking taser after them. I had to beat them up. It's insane. Yeah, at least there's no stock ticker with the name Chaz, man. Right on. Oh, boy. All right, let's see. The good thing about value stocks, most of them pay dividends. It helps tremendously during this downturn. Could not agree more, Roberto. I actually think that's a huge buffer that a lot of people overlook, as long as they keep paying the dividends. So that's the drawback. And that's why you got to look at the debt levels, man. If you're buying individual stocks, make sure they can maintain those dividends when the markets turn against them, because if they're taking on lots and lots of debt to pay those dividends, and all of a sudden things go south, where's the dividend going to be paid from? The cash flow? No, it won't be. And then when they got to cut their dividend, the price of stock is going to go kaput. Biden ads everywhere on YouTube. That's man, I can't wait for Trumpster and Biden to debate. It's going to be awesome. All right, hold on a second. I got rid of international funds years ago, says Hans. Yeah, emerging markets. I don't trust these guys, man. I just don't trust. And then you got to look at the dollar, the price, the currency exchanges, and I just think at the end of the day, just by the total stock, it's keeping it in America. People call that regional bias. Home country bias is what's called. Who said that? Jay Snyder, 303. That's Colorado, right? 303. 808 is Hawaii. 303 is Colorado. Home country bias, but our home country deserves to have a bias in his behalf for sure. So I just, yeah. Jill says my advisor has about 10% international. Using what you said about values, he's a contrarian. Yeah, I get that, Jill. Look, I won't do it, but I think there is something to be said about buying international stocks. They're undervalued relative to some of these stocks in America right now. Vanguard is absolutely run by globalists, without question. They are not. I don't like. I'm just telling you right now. That's the Vanguard is. They're shareholder owned, but you and I ain't the shareholders who got a say. Let's just put it that way. There's a lot of these hedge fund guys, and a lot of these hedge fund guys are not pro-American. That's for sure. They're just not. What about international stocks that seem safe, like pharma, auto, and energy? Here, you think energy stocks, Ray, are safe? I don't think so, man. I mean, my goodness. And then pharma, I don't think energy stocks are safe in the least. I mean, I just don't think so. I don't. If I'm an energy company right now and I have regulations coming down on me and I got to keep my price low enough because people still have a need for energy of all sorts, not just electricity, and I have to be worried about carbon tax, and I got to be worried about government regulation with CO2 and all this crap out there. I mean, it's a utility, literally a utility, and the utility simply means there ain't no growth and there'll be a little bit of a dividend. That's it. Let's see. Pablo's studying the whiteboard. All right, so Jill says she was even as of Monday, and now she's down a little bit, but still, it's pretty good. I mean, you're down 35% roughly. That's what you could have been, and now you're even. That's not so bad. Steve says, I bounced my equities with 35 to 40% gold. Historically, has outperformed for the 60-40 equity bond portfolio and offers more safety. I don't know about that, man. I don't know how you can say historically has outperformed in a 60-40 bond portfolio. Where? Come on. What? Huh? No. Where's the evidence of that, brother? All right, send me the data. I'd love to see the data, how gold, which had no market from the 30s to 72. There's literally no market for gold, just a black market. And then from 72 to basically 79, it took off like a bat out of hell when they allowed it to go back to being free. And then from then on, it hasn't done much. It just hasn't. I mean, I'm sorry to say, it just hasn't done much at all. Bonds, on the other hand, from 82 to now have been up to basically 2011, 12. We're on a freaking tear. Bonds actually beat the major stock indexes for those 30 years. And it just inherently makes sense when you think about you could have bought a 15-year treasury at 15 and a quarter. That's I don't know what 30 years, I guess 30-year bonds, what it was. 30-year bond at 15 and a quarter. Guaranteed that paid 15 and a quarter with no downside risk at all from 1982 to 2011. None. There's no way gold did better than that. No way. It's just not. Stocks from 82 to 99 were averaging 17% a year. Now from 99 or 2000, the aughts to 2011, they basically did nothing. But then from essentially from 2011 to 2020, they've averaged another 17% a year. There is just no way that stocks have, there's no way. I'm sorry. All right, let's see. Anyone interested? Nicola something about hydrogen electrolysis to create quasi-electric trucks with longer range than Tesla fully electric. I like the play as a Nikola Tesla's name. Yeah, it sounds like they're going using the Tesla model there, Doug. There's a good book on hydrogen that I read 3 or 4 years ago. I can't remember what it's called anymore. But it seems like I read it, and I don't think, look, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a chemist or anything like that, but it seems like when I got done reading it, I said, I don't know if that's going to be the future. But let's see. We'll see for sure. Look, nuclear, I mean, without question, nuclear is the way to go. If we want energy, right? If we want energy, we got to have nuclear. There's no other way around that. It's clean, it's safe, and all right, that's good. Cool. How hard is it to be hired as a brand manager for companies such as a music label? Oh, I like that kind of question. How hard is it to be? I don't know. I can tell you right now, I would definitely go out there and look at a band, for instance, that you want to represent, and show them what you can do, and I would volunteer to put. I wouldn't even go out to music. I don't think you need a label anymore. You can do self-production, self-produce CD. Well, not even CDs anymore. You don't need a label. A label doesn't do anything for you. I would go out there and just with basic SEO, search engine optimization, I would show that band what they're doing wrong and what you can do right so they can focus on music, if that makes sense. The opportunities are endless for people who know basic SEO. It's nuts. And people who want to do content. You can't. Doing content has got to be a labor of love. I agree with that, Steve. REITs are dangerous with mobs burning down buildings. Except in the suburbs. I do real quick. I want to address something I thought was pretty interesting. I was listening to. I forgot who it was. Some kind of lefty too, if memory serves. But anyway, the issue was that you don't have to worry about the mobs coming into your residential neighborhoods. The reason why is even if you don't have the castle law or stand your ground law, you have a right to defend your home, all right? And the mobs don't know if you are armed or not, or if your neighbor is armed or not. And they also don't know, whereas a business may not be armed, but the business owner, to protect his inventory of coffee pots, is going to be a whole lot harder to be viewed as not violating if you took somebody out. Let's just put that way. But if you're at home with your children and the mob comes to you and you take somebody out, it's going to be a lot easier to walk away from that. I can't remember who said that on a podcast. I thought that was very, very informative, that the mob isn't going to come to your neighborhood. It's simply because they're scared. And mobs criminals generally are always going to go for the path of least resistance. And so what they've done studies on it, and they say, criminals would say even if they hurt a dog like Pablo, they're not going to that house because of the noise and the distraction, and they just don't want to deal with that. So they're going to go to a house that has no dogs, even if they know it's only a tiny little yapper. Now, if they go to a house, a neighborhood, and they don't know if people are armed or not, they don't know if people are home, they're going to avoid it because they don't want to be the first to get taken out. Especially when a homeowner will always, for the most part, unless you live in Boston or something like that, be in the right to protect your friends and family. Yeah, that's all there is to it. Even in Boston, though, I mean, liberal cities, if a mob comes to your home in a liberal city and you got your wife and kids or your husband or whatever, just your grandma, you're going to take somebody out. And if you do, and they say, oh man, they should never shot old Johnny. Yeah, I don't know how many jurors are going to find you guilty. Whereas at a business, on the other hand, as much as I hate it, but you could easily see, you should have killed that guy. He was just trying to steal your coffee pots. And I forgot who was on that podcast, but I thought it was very a good way to look at it too. So a lot of people on my side say, oh, the mobs are coming. I don't think so. Now, that doesn't mean you don't get armed. You definitely need to be armed. Oh, yeah, absolutely, Kirk. If you haven't have a firearm yet, what the hell, brother? There's no excuse, and I'm just picking on you. At this day and age, there's no excuse not to have a firearm, none whatsoever. The Glock 19, you know, I think $350 for Glock 19. It's a wonderful piece of equipment. Everyone talks about shotgun. You need a handgun in defense of your home. A handgun, a shotgun is a whole. I'm not familiar with Glock 23. I just have a Glock 19, among other things, if you know what I'm saying. But I don't. That's the only Glock I have. Yeah, but a shotgun is harder to maneuver. I mean, let's just say you have to open up your home, your door. It's hard to have a shotgun sitting right at the ready. So, I mean, I have a shotgun, don't get me wrong. Have one, get a 12 gauge, but also have a handgun as well. A handgun will serve many purposes that a shotgun is going to be harder to for sure. And this comes from a guy, it's funny, my man Tim Tebow. I didn't know Tim Tebow's watching. You need to be practicing your baseball skills, buddy. I completely agree, Vic. Shotguns for the corner of the bedroom. With some anyway. I did not grow up with firearms, not at all. And I remember going to the Army. We went to the rifle range, and when I was first introduced to M16, I was scared crapless because I had fired twice with my friend Matt up in Brunswick, Maine, at his granddad's house, and it hurt, man. It hurt. I was like, man, that hurt. And I was very nervous about firing the M16. So they pulled off we're sitting there, and the drill sergeant was going over the ins and outs of M16. They pulled off this little Puerto Rican guy named Valverde. Valverde's probably about 4'10", 4'11", a small guy. But he could kick your ass. So let's just put that guy was he was cock strong. He was a good guy. I like Valverde. Anyway, so they put the M16 up against his quacks, as we call it, the Scanlon family. They fired, and they said, did you have any kick? And everyone's like, holy crap, dude, he's going to get his nuts blown off. And it didn't happen. It was so funny because I'd never fired anything other than those 2 shots I fired at my friend Matt's house. I never want to go near one again, that's for sure. And it was just kind of funny. And so, Kirk, you're living in Portland, you're a Christian guy, you're the first up against the wall. So before you go out, take a couple with you if they come to your house. That way you can save some people downstream, if that makes sense. All right, so, and by the way, just for the record, there is no legal automatic weapon. I know everyone here knows this. The idea... The insanity. I was listening to some governor the other day. I forgot who the hell it was, or some mayor. We have automatics all through the streets. You can go buy an automatic weapon. I'm like, dude, oh my God. All right, people are nuts. All right, let's keep going here. I'm not an Elon fan necessarily, but I like what he's saying about the fascists. I thought that was pretty good about the commie virus. Yeah, well, can you go with an FFL and get an automatic rifle? I don't know. I literally don't know, but I know you can't go down and say, I'm just going to my local store and I'm going to get one off the shelf. Let's put it that way. So maybe you can own one. Frank, I don't know. FFL, right? Federal Firearms License. I don't think so, man. I don't believe you can just go and buy an automatic rifle. To collect... all right, permits to collect, but can... come on, man. You know what they're saying. They're saying you can go and buy an automatic rifle from the frickin' local gun store. You can't do that. You can't. The lady from CNN who said she was able to buy a rifle from the store, it was not an automatic weapon. It was not. If they have a semi-automatic, it's not even a 3-round burst. And you can modify them, you can, but they can't just go down to get one. I mean, maybe if you go through the iterations of doing it through the legal aspects, you can have one of a few. You can be one of the few in the United States that have an automatic rifle. The average Joe or Jane who's going to a store is not going to go down and get an automatic rifle from shootingsports.com down on Route 9. It's not going to happen. But you can go down and you can modify it. How you do that, I don't know. Don't care. I just like the idea of having enough firearms in my home. That way I have them. And if the feds ever say, Joe Biden, we're going to ban firearms, you can ban them all day long, Joe. But I don't care. I literally could care less what you banned. It's not going to matter. But what they do is the old Ted Kennedy way, is trying to ban the ammunition. Try to ban the you make the lead very expensive and whatnot. Jimmy, yeah, man. If you want to send me, by all means, Jimmy, my man Jimmy's in here. I'd like to know how to do that. I think that's actually a good skill set to have for sure. So let me know. Don't do it on YouTube, because they'll ban us before they can freaking. They'll be very happy to promote Antifa, but they'll ban us quickly. You guys, Steve, right on, man. Let's see. All right, if Biden wins, there'll be talks of a balanced budget and the U.S. national debt from the Republicans. Oh, yeah, I agree. Yeah, exactly. The Republicans will be, we want to balance the budget. Yeah, okay. We believe you. We believe you. Jesus. All right. Friend told me the rent. Okay, we saw that. It's all over. Yeah. Nashville area, right on. All right. What about growth of AI, precision? Deborah asked, precision medicine, robotics, blockchain. I'm just not all that convinced of blockchain. Blockchain and crypto, two different things. I just don't, it bores me, to be perfectly honest with you. That might be my own ignorance, Deborah. Crypto, I don't know. It hasn't, look, I've tried following it. I've tried to learn. It doesn't do anything for me. I don't know why. It just bores me. I guess because I'm not that worried about the dollar. I'm not. I'm just not. Blockchain, I know banks are doing that. I think that's, and I don't know how that works, but it sounds like that's coming regardless if we want to or not. Someone just said in here, though, that the guy from Schwann's won't take cash. That's my concern. If you go to a cashless society, then that is a problem, because that's the way they can, really police up your activities, follow what you're doing. And that's my concern. Cashless society, that's the beginning of the end, without question. The cashless society is the beginning of the end. AI, I am not convinced AI is as prevalent and is going to be as job reducing as what we've been told. I am not an expert. I just listen like Eric Weinstein, some other guys. Some people are very adamant that AI is coming ASAP. I thought we were supposed to have self-driving cars all over the place by now. We don't. And I was hoping we would. I'm just not that worried about AI as we sit here today. I'm not. What's my thoughts about the stimulus running out in July? I think that's going to be problematic for the Republicans, because the Democrats have no qualm to spend more, none whatsoever. And the Republicans are going to look like the bad guys. It's just, and the media will let them be. And, at this stage, the Democrats are going to win, because they'll say, why do you care about the debt and deficit now? We still have people out of work. And and then on top, it's an election year. So we can see that stimulus being expanded. Once you go down that road, man, the Republicans don't care about this stuff. Come on, the Republicans virtue signal just like the best of them. At the end of the day, the government did put us in this hole, though. I mean, it was the government, and again, I say it's a taking. It should be under the takings clause in the Constitution. The eminent domain. I mean, I don't. So essentially, we're saying you can't have a business, but we're not paying you, and so a stimulus is essentially a way around that. I don't know. I mean, what are you going to do? It's a done deal. It's just a matter of who's going to get the credit and how much is going to come out of the future revenues. I'm not that worried about it, Frank. I'm just not. I'm not that worried about the amount of debt. I am worried about a cashless society, absolutely. I am worried about a Biden presidency, because it won't be Biden. I mean, he doesn't know who the hell he is. If I hear one more time, Dr. Jill, as if she's a freaking doc. I mean, come on. Goodness, I'm sick of these liberals. Doctor this, doctor that. You're not a doctor, man. You have a PhD. Whip-de-flip-and-do. Post-hole digger. And I'm not trying to disparage PhDs, but they're all like, doctor this, doctor that. I'm like, stop it. It's just as embarrassing. So, Lon, if another shutdown is ordered, I don't think people are gonna give two craps. I just, my sneaky suspicion is people are gonna say, screw that, man. You've lost all credibility. Dr. Fauci's hating not being on the front and center of the media anymore because of the protests. So if anything about the protests they showed, which is good. I appreciate them showing that's all politics all the time. It is, without question. The cashless is the mark of the beast, Jimmy, 100%. That's where the evil stuff comes. So I'm not worried about another stimulus at all because we're already so far down into a deficit now, and the government put me in. Why did my YouTube recommend this? I don't know. Because I told YouTube, there's a guy out there named Tom Smith. I want him to have access to my live stream. Make sure Tom Smith sees this video, YouTube. And YouTube said, I'm going to make sure that Josh is listened to. We're going to give Tom Smith access to this video. Yeah, I'm not doing any more shutdown. Well, not that I ever did anyway, but still. Let's see. All right, so Tim said, yeah, right here. That's what Tim said about the Schwann's guy. Actually, I want to say something. Then Futes be dripping. Futes. I don't even know what Futes stands for. Tom Smith. I command YouTube to get Tom Smith to watch. And YouTube says, we oblige, Josh. You run YouTube. Whatever that lady's wiki, Susan wiki. I call her up on the phone and say, Susie wiki, just make sure Tom Smith is on this channel. No, man, dude, they gave you 2 toilet papers for ordering 2 pieces. Hank, man, where they give you a toaster. That is crazy. Oh, that's awesome, man. I wonder what kind of newspaper it is. The New York Times? You know what I'm saying? I mean, not newspaper, toilet paper, the New York Times. Oh, man. Oh, jeez. I just had something to say. I wanted to say, what the future's doing now. Anyone got the knowledge of that? It'll be interesting to see what the future's. New York City is minus 323. My man Roberto lives in New York City. It looks like a war zone. That's not good, man. Oh, Tom Smith, you're welcome anytime, man. You're bringing some fun to the program. Appreciate it. You seem like a good sport. I don't know what negative 1.3 sand P is, but it's all good. Yeah, New York City looks like no cops there. Yeah, how would you want to be a cop in this stuff, man? How would you want to be a cop? That's crazy. You know, you got a freaking target on your back. No one's going to defend you. It's nuts. It's nuts. Ay. All right, my friends. Listen to brother Irvin Baxter on YouTube, says Q Humor. Irvin Baxter. Don't know him, but if I can remember, I will. Yeah, Stacey Abrams. She's just, no one cares. No one cares about Stacey Abrams, that's for sure. Crime is going to go up as the cops pull out? No, it's crazy. That's nuts. How could that possibly be? The protesters tell us it's the cops are the bad guys. All right, well, seemed like I had something I'll say. I was talking about... recommendation on converting Hans. So Hans got $450 in a traditional IRA and wants to convert it to a Roth. So what I did today, I had some clients that we met today this morning. Nice people in Texas. They were the wheel options strategy. I don't know anything about it. Yeah, the Villages, right on, man. All right, so they had about $1 million in deferred accounts, and so what happened was they were having 3 years. They're going to live off their cash, cash covered puts. See, I don't know much about options, brother. But anyway, so what's going to happen is when they, well, I know about covered calls. So when they live off their cash, it's tax free because they've already paid tax when they earn the income in which to put it in the cash. So it's like 3 years before they go on. She's 57 or 58, and he's 4 years older than her. I can't remember, off the top, I can't remember. But anyway, it's like 3 years they pay no income tax. So it's like, look, and they live in Texas. So I said, if you do Roth conversions in these next 3 years, right out of the gate of retiring, you will pay a little bit of tax. But it's a seesaw thing. So basically right now they pay no tax now, and then it goes up and up and up and up. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the seesaw a little bit more level, if that makes sense. And so what we do is we're saying, I showed them that if they start doing like 50 or 100,000 a year in tax Roth conversions, the seesaw changes like that. We don't want that. We want the seesaw to be leveled out. We don't want them to pay a lot of tax, up here in order to pay no tax in the future necessarily, because I don't like that. I worry that you're spending a lot of money on taxes in order to avoid taxes in the future, which might never come because you might not be here. You might run out of money. So at the end of the day, we want to level that off. And it's a year by year thing, but you got to look at your taxable income after standard deductions, or if you're doing itemization, which I bet you're probably not, but you got to look at your taxable income. And if your taxable income is low, well, you start doing Roth conversions, or you start pulling money out of your IRA in which to live on, if that makes sense. It just depends on the situation at hand. And I think a lot of people overlook the seesaw of taxes. You got to be careful paying too much tax on the front end. I know it looks very attractive to pay none on the back, but man alive, dudes, if you pay too much and the markets go south against you and you run out of money, you're not paying taxes anyway. So anyway, let's see here. I got killed cover calls back in the early 2000s. Someone asked me, why haven't I done stock on tax law harvesting? I just did a video on tax law harvesting just the other day, Roberto, as a matter of fact. I said the problem with tax loss harvesting. You might want to check that out. But it's literally just within this last week. I think it was on Wednesday. I can't remember off the top of my head. I can't remember exactly what we talked about. But I had read what was the problem? It was a problem with tax loss harvesting. I got killed in cover calls by writing against cover calls as the stocks were going down. CMGI, I think, PetSmart, and the Qs. So in the late 90s going up, you'd write the cover calls against them, and they expire before the market changed, which meant you kept the premium. If you write them on a stock that's going from 40 to 30 to 20 to 5, which is what I did on PetSmart and the Qs, you miss out on 30 days, dude. That's what it was. Right on, Ben. Right on. Good stuff. So there is a tax loss harvesting issue if you don't sell if the market goes for those 30 days goes up significantly and you're out. But anyway, so Tom, if you're dropping and you're writing covered calls and now you're at 5, which is exactly what happened to me in PetSmart. See, really? I didn't know that. CMGI was a name. Really? Were the Pats play? That's nuts. I did not know that. Exactly, Vinyl. I made it on the call, but I lost on the stock without question. So basically what happened was when PetSmart was down to 5, I wrote a cover call on it, and I can't remember how many freaking shares I had, hundreds. And my strike price was 7.5. I think it was going to leap. It was like a 3 month. I said, no way. And then PetSmart went up to freaking 9 overnight, essentially. Shares got taken, and I was stuck. I bought it at 40, wrote it, and I got it taken at 7.5. And that was a big, I must have had thousands in that. I didn't have thousands of shares, but that was in 1999 to 2000, 2001. I probably had $40,000 in that holding, probably not that much. And dead cat. Yep, exactly right. That was the dead cat bounce, exactly. Actually, I think PetSmart did go back up to 40 or something like that. Look, I'm a fan of cover calls. I am, but without question. I think cover calls have a lot to offer. I just don't get involved anymore because the same thing happened to me on the Qs and CMGI. All three of those things killed me. Now, I did have some where they made some money for sure, but just at this stage, I'm not getting back into it. All right, my friends, I'm running low on juice here. We will see you guys. Thanks for being here. See you on next Sunday. Tom, you're back on here next Sunday, man. 7 o'clock, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed Eastern time. I expect Tom Smith to be here. I'm going to tell Susan WikiWiki to make sure you get a note to be here. We'll see you guys. Hopefully, I will get my software working. If not, we'll get something on the whiteboard. Thanks, y'all. See ya. All right.